All right, so I'm here with Jairek Robbins, President of Success. We've been working together now for about 10 months, I think.
10 months. It has been.
Yeah, and I know that you obviously have been involved in the coaching and training space for many years. 20 years. Yeah, kind of a family kind of tradition.
Family business.
Family business.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing just seeing how you've brought a lot of the coaching infrastructure in and the team that you built. So how did that all come together? I know you brought in Josh and Marcus and a number of people to the team.
It's the community I've built. It's what I've been focused on. It's everything I've done for this 20-year stretch of my life as far as how to help people be the best version of themselves, mentally, emotionally, physically. The last 8 years, I've spent deep with a mentor who's been buying and selling businesses for 40 years now. And he's been downloading all the business side of it for me. I knew health, I knew emotions, relationships, but I wasn't really fine-tuned in business just yet. And he's been helping me understand all that and practicing it. And we've gotten amazing results. For our personal company, we had 143% growth in the first 3 years. We applied what we were learning. Then we took that to some of our clients who had small businesses, and we got them 50% growth in revenue, 171% growth in profitability, and 195% growth in net profit within 12 months during the pandemic. And so we started producing results like that. And Success reached out. And they said, hey, can you team up with us on this? And I was like, wow, that's a big opportunity. And at the same time, I was right in the middle of the programs I was building and the people I was helping and the commitments I had already made, because a lot of the commitments are 12 months or 18 months or 36 months. And I had to talk to the same business mentor, and he said, that's a big opportunity. You should do it. I went, oh boy. And I talked to my wife, more importantly, and said, are you okay with this? And she was excited. So we rearranged our world more or less to be able to take this on. And then I sat down, and there's certain principles I learned and that we teach as far as just basic small business skills that apply in this world as well, where can you build an NBA all-star team? Can you find the best? Who, not how. So many people are focused on how do you do it.
Right.
And my thought was, if you find the right who, they'll know all the hows and they'll know all the people. And so in this industry, I'm one of those right who's, because I'm plugged into everyone from how to build the infrastructure to the right people to run sales, and the people who I know have track records of 18 to 25% of their enrollment consistently on site, and for all those bits and pieces. It was fun because those are my friends. Those are people we hang out with and travel with and check in on how they're doing every day. And it was fun bringing them all together. The other piece is Romaine, who came on, who's our head of ops. She told me, she's like, this is so cool. We get to bring all of our friends and somewhat considered family members together, right, and give them a platform that's been around for 125 years to make an even wider, dent and impact in people's lives and in the world. And so I'm wildly grateful for that, really excited at what we're doing. And we've got some new pieces that are coming to life here with Success Health. And that's really exciting.
Working with me, obviously, we bought Success Magazine about almost 2 years ago. And we've been iterating and moving. And I'm probably a little bit of a different entrepreneur than maybe you're used to working with.
Slightly. Luckily, I laughed because I was talking to our team, and I said, thank goodness I grew up around my father, because of how aggressive he is and how quickly he does stuff and how fast things are moving, that this feels very familiar to me as far as bringing new things to life. And really, I like the principle, I think it's Jim Collins, that says, fire bullets before cannonballs. And to have an open space that we're able to consistently fire bullets into the marketplace and figure out what's the real need people are needing right now. And what's the thing that'll absolutely benefit them the most in this very moment? And to have you, who's creative and insightful and watching the trends and patterns, and then being able to want to bring something to life so quickly, I love it. I used the term 125-year-old fast-paced startup environment the other day. Right. And I said, it feels like that. I love it. Because it's not an archaic company that is slow-moving and moving like a turtle and stuff like that. It's fast-paced and creative, and it's exciting.
Well, and Success Health really has only came around in the last 3 to 4 weeks.
Yep.
There was already a health component in the success wheel and success coaching and in a general sense, but there wasn't a specific focus on health. And I had had an opportunity to go to Peter Diamandis's Platinum Longevity Retreat, did it 2 years in a row, and I was already on a lot of this stuff. This is one of the reasons why I've had such great results in the last 12 months biologically, is because I was really taking what I'd learned and applying it.
I think it's important for people to know, if you haven't shared it already, a little of your backstory. And it's common. I found my target client in personal coaching was business owners, usually 35 to 65, who are wildly successful at what they do. And the side effects tend to be a heart attack, divorce, or bankruptcy. Like, those are 3 very common oopses, because someone's pushing so fast and so far in one direction. There's other things that tend to get in the mix or lost in there. And maybe a little bit about where you were.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting story. So I've been what I consider to be healthy most of my life. I've generally thought I had healthy habits, but I recognized, even at the time, that I would make excuses for my health in favor of the business. So I would, either not get enough sleep, I'd eat crappy food, I would drink too much, I would do a lot of the stuff that I knew wasn't really good, at least, based on what the research had out there. But I really just sort of said, well, I'm tough. I'll be able to deal with it. And what I noticed is that over time I had indigestion issues. In 2016, we came off the road in a motor coach. We were microwave food, a bunch of other stuff. We were 10 months on the road, and my digestion went completely off the rails. I was having to basically live on Prilosec. And that's, the doctor said I could take it for the next 15 years. And I read there's studies of people that take this stuff and how it's not the best thing.
No.
And you're only supposed to take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Right. And that's it, But they basically said I was going to take it. And they said anyway, there was a bunch of things. I had a hiatal hernia. I had Barrett's esophagus. So these were the things and they basically said I was just going to have to be on this proton pump inhibitor for the rest of my life. And I started taking it. I got bloated. I was still trying to get my runs in, but my energy wasn't there. And in 2019, I was starting to have a little bit of chest pain. In fact, I think just a year or so earlier, I actually went to the ER because my chest was feeling or hurting. And in 2019, 2020, I had heart arrhythmias where my heart rate was going up to about 160, 170 beats a minute.
Wow.
And actually had the ambulance come out and check me out. And I went to the ER yet again to go, and they couldn't find anything. But I'm like, that's it. I've got to change this stuff.
Yep.
And so I started doing intermittent fasting. I started to do research. I started to do a bunch of stuff, but I wasn't quite making progress. I was doing okay. I was 225 pounds in 2019. So I'm 185 pounds today. So 40 pounds.
When people say this, and this is interesting because I work with a lot of people and I hear this exact statement of, I started doing a lot of the right things, but I wasn't seeing progress.
Right.
And I always tell people, for those watching, how many years did it take to get the current state of the ecosystem you have? And people have to look back and go, well, this was a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year process to get to where I was.
Right.
And then I always tease them. I'm like, okay, well, you're 4 months into a new process. You got to give it a little bit of lag time to catch up. And what people do, a lady mentioned yesterday in the health panel, where she was talking about, when I switched, I immediately saw the weight change, or I saw the size of my body, the shape of my body transform. And then when I read the studies, I actually found out it wasn't healthy. And I went, ooh, there's a difference between fitness and shape versus health.
Right.
And health takes a while. It's an internal process for people who are paying attention to this. And so when you first make that transition, for all of you watching, you need to give it a little bit of time. And so there's certain things I tell people to watch for So psychologically, they go, oh, it is working. And the things I like to hunt for is, has your sleep adjusted? And usually when someone starts to make these adjustments and sleep becomes a priority, all of a sudden they can go, well, wait a minute, I am getting more deep sleep. And you go, there's a win. And then we say, well, what else? If you have someone pull their hormone panel, we can look at something like that and say, well, let's look at, you took the vitamins, you ate the right food, you did intermittent fasting. Did your hormones change over this time? You're like, well, look, it came up 15 points here. You're like, oh, that's a win too. And we start to, what I knew is hunt for victories, minor victories, major victories, doesn't matter. But can we hunt for victories to start stacking in our brain? It's worked. Look, this worked. This worked. This worked. Wow, it's working. And so often, though, that statement you made is so important because that's exactly how people feel when it's like, I'm eating right and I'm doing the walk or I'm exercising and I'm doing the thing, but nothing's changing.
Right.
Or worse, this is the one that really messes with people. They step on the scale and the weight goes up and they go, what the heck? And we always have to remind them that fat weighs less than muscle. So if we start building muscle, you'll actually get slightly heavier for a brief period of time. People really freak out on that one because their brain goes, oh no, the wrong way. It's like, that's crap, bro. It's muscle, it's good. And the muscle, once you build it, will actually burn off way more fat consistently. And so it's just a different process. But thank you. I wanted to catch that thought because it's so important for people when they start that journey. I have a friend doing this where different sets, it's a business, and she's at the point where she's hired more people, but she sees no more profit in this bridge. And that she's crossing it, and most people get scared and go, I want my profit back, and run back and never get to the size team they need to really scale. And her accountant told her, she said, you're in the bridge, what do you call it? The bridge of despair, the black hole bridge or something like that.
Oh,
like great word.
The trough of despair.
The trough, yeah, it's this trough. It's this bridge of like, oh, nothing. I mean, adding more expenses, but not seeing more profit. It's irritating. And he says the crazy part is if you scale out and you look at the results that happen on the other side, all of a sudden the right people are in the right place and it goes. Right. I always say the same thing for your health. That when you're first catching traction in that crossing of the bridge, your tires are moving, you're eating healthy, you're working out, you're sleeping right, you're starting to move, but your tires are spinning without traction yet.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, and we're coming right back to where you are in the story, traction usually hits and then you see it go.
Yeah, well, and traction, it's sort of like that overnight success that only takes like 20 years to get there. I feel like the last year has been the year where it actually started to work. So 2019 started to get serious because I had some issues. 2020, I was dropping a little bit of weight, but and things were getting better. 2021, I got off the Prilosec. It popped in September of 2021. Haven't looked back.
Wow.
I continue to do the things. The bio piece is just a part of it.
Yep.
But my biological age dropped 6 years in 11 months.
Wow. That's amazing. So that's traction. So all of a sudden, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022, traction hits, and then all of a sudden, you don't see a little result, like, oh, I feel a little better. All of a sudden, you see a massive result happen where 6 biological years drop right off within that 4th year of moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's the traction piece. All of a sudden, it hits, and you're like, it's working.
Exactly.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, so I'm a geek. You're a geek.
Yeah.
We nerd out on this stuff. So I was fortunate to be able to cobble together enough information, but I also spent $70,000 twice to go to a longevity event to learn the latest science.
Right.
And one of the things that I'm super excited about Success Health is we want to shortcut that. We don't want it to be $70,000.
Yeah.
We want it to be part of a very cost-effective program that virtually anybody can participate in. If they want to do the bigger stuff, we'll provide some opportunities for that too, but we just want people to be healthy.
Totally. And that's a big proponent of me, where when I work with someone one-on-one, same thing. I've invested 20 years of my life learning this stuff and going to all the best and brightest, reading all the books, building the peer group and community. Sean Stevenson, Winhoff, Ben Greenfield, all these guys are friends, right? And they're always sharing the best and brightest information in the world of what's out there on these topics. And then if I worked one-on-one with someone, that's $2,500 an hour, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month to do this work with them. And I always look at that and say, well, how do we make that available for everyone? Like,
Right.
It's great for business that those people can afford it at that level, but what about everybody else? And so at the price point we're bringing this to life, I'm very excited because they can get the entire support ecosystem that we create around people. And PS, side topic, I was talking to a friend of mine, Dr. Leah Lagos, who's a breathwork specialist and biofeedback and neurofeedback specialist for, let's see, NFL coaches and players, Olympic athletes, hedge fund managers, all of them go work with her, right? Breathwork, recalibrating their internal nervous system to stay calm under immense chaos.
Right.
And so that way when they're making trades or they're coaching their team, she keeps them in the zone when they're at maximum chaotic environments. And so I was talking to her and I showed her everything we do in protocols and management and tracking. And she told me, she's like, you don't charge enough. You should be charging $350,000 to $500,000 a year to do what you're doing for people.
Right.
I looked there, I was like, really? She's like, yeah. Are you kidding? There's people out there for what you're doing for them, all the tracking and the fine tuning every day. That's what it's really worth at that high level. And I was like,
Well, and I'm super proud of the fact that we don't charge that much.
correct.
Because, success, 125-year-old brand, it's really about getting information that's actionable to everybody.
Exactly.
And so the idea that we're providing this, by the way, we've got the success.com/success health.
Yep.
Go there. Just by introducing Vile into your personal practices, we're actually going to put you in a private Facebook group, or we're going to be supporting you there. You would have to pay Success anything more just to start to be in our ecosystem. Just jump on our affiliate codes right there with Success Health, and you'll be in our ecosystem. We'll start like just pouring into you, because that's at the end of the day, it's about pouring into people. And the Zig Ziglar quote, which is, you can get anything you want in life if you just help enough other people get what they want. And we want to help millions of people.
That's right. That's right. And that's what I love about the brand, is the brand takes the best and brightest of what's available on the topics in personal development, health, relationships, business building, emotions, all the pieces, and says, how do we get this information to the masses? And that's always been something. And it's something I did a long time ago, where I took all the content I used one-on-one, I put it into a program, I put it online for $13 when it's on sale. Right. My goal was, and it worked, we have students in 126 countries around the world taking it. I'll get a message from a high school student in India saying, sir, you helped me ace my exams. Thank you. And I was like, oh, amazing. That's so cool to me.
Right.
And so the same thing with our platform on Success is we get to take this and hopefully globally, 191 plus countries around the world, hopefully will step into this and get access to this type of information. I know with Biome, it's mainly focused at a starting point in the U.S. on getting their supplements. But
We'll find equivalents in Korea. We'll find equivalents in India. We'll find equivalents in the UK. We'll find equivalents in Australia. And I know that they actually have ambitions to expand. So, that might be something that's available. But we want to find what works.
Yep.
Get it to your hands as quickly as possible, and just be part of our ecosystem. That's the whole thing. There'll be enough ways that we'll be able to monetize the relationship so that's win-win. But it's all about just get in our ecosystem.
Totally. I love that. I love that. One of my internal missions is simple. Get the message to the person who needs it most at the moment they need it with the message they need. Can we reach them? And so with this platform, it's our ability to reach people now in this new category of health to say, hey, can we give you what you need in the moment you need it to make sure you're absolutely at your best, happiest, healthiest, strongest, and most fulfilled version of yourself.
I'm super stoked, super excited. Jairek, thanks for being part of the team. You're a rock star, obviously, in the personal development space, and couldn't be more proud to be on this journey with you.
Safe.
If you've enjoyed this, make sure that you go to success.com and check out what we have there.